Welcome to Brotherhood of Healing, the podcast devoted to supporting veterans in health, resources, and in life after the uniform. Here we share inspiring stories, valuable information, practical advice to help our veterans thrive beyond their service. Whether you're seeking guidance, community, or simply want to hear from those who understand your journey, you're in the right place. Thank you for your service and welcome to the Brotherhood of Healing. Tying on target now. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today I'm sitting here with Emilio Driscoll, who is, tell us a little bit about you. I know the position that you work, but I think just, tell us what exactly that you do. So you're the marketing, or is it what exactly is it that you do for Soldier's Best Friend?
Too easy. I'm the development manager over at Soldier's Best Friend. So what I deal with are our donors, sponsors, public relations. I deal with all of those one-on-one contacts. I deal with events, and I put together our two biggest fundraisers that we do every year.
I know the listeners are going to love this, but I remember a few years back we did an event. I don't know if it was Boobies for Bikers.
Yes.
One of these events where you get these big burly bikers with pink highlights in their hair and little tutus, and it's the funniest thing. But they raise tons of money and awareness of breast cancer, and I think it's such a great cause. And while we were doing this at the dealership, the Harley-Davidson dealership, there was a desk set up for you guys, and that was the first time I saw, not a desk, but like a little display
table, yeah,
little display, and you guys were just. And I just fell in love with the project. I thought, this is so cool. And so basically, if you guys don't know what Soldier's Best Friend is, for those listeners, it is an organization that pairs a dog. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
No, we'll do.
Just going based on experience and prior knowledge. And
that's why I'm here, yeah.
Memory sometimes does not serve. So, as we saw earlier today. But it pairs a veteran with a dog. They train both the veteran and the dog to be a service dog.
Right. So, do you want to be the development manager? You did a
set.
great job. Yeah.
I think I'm set. I got other things. I got Netflix to watch, and I got a kid in hockey. But
So basically, that's our mission. You hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
We provide veterans who are living with PTSD or TBI, or as well as MST with
nice.
Service animal. Exactly. And for those of you who do not know what MST is, it's military sexual trauma, which is a form of PTSD.
Well, all trauma. So my background, Emilio, is that I hold a doctorate in psychiatry, and I've actually written a book on PTSD, which is not shameless plug, but that poster right there. Anyway, so and I fully get the mission. I think it is so imperative. There's nothing like having a companion that wants nothing other from you than love.
Oh yeah.
And I can tell you that when I was my first dog that I had, which was my first service dog, we got him in Hawaii. He was a red-nosed pit and Ridgeback mix. Great dog. Nobody taught him how to do any of these things, but anytime I would have a nightmare or I would have some kind of event in the night, he'd take his nose out of the freezer, because apparently that's where he keeps his cold nose, and put it right here on my neck, and I would wake up. And it was like, God, so grateful to have that guy. Unfortunately, Douglas, my dog, passed away a few years ago, and I don't know if you can hear, my other dog is downstairs trying to get up here and to hang out with us. So we may do that a little bit later. I don't know. But so tell me about, how did you get involved with this organization?
Oh, too easy. So I'm a 10-year Army veteran myself.
Okay.
I served in the 1st Cav Division. I was a combat engineer.
Okay.
So roadside bombs, IEDs, minefields in Afghanistan.
Horizontal and vertical, just horizontal?
Oh, demolition.
Demolition. Okay.
Yeah.
So
demolition. So everywhere. So I served for 10 years, and when I got out in 17, I actually had no idea what a veteran community was, or even the existence of it. I, like every other individual who either didn't finish high school or just straight out of high school went to the military, had no idea what I wanted to do, so I utilized my GI Bill. And I always liked history, so I went for my history degree.
Okay, cool.
I actually intended to be a history professor.
Okay.
I graduated during 2020, So COVID, teaching wasn't around. But however, throughout all that time through college, from 17 to 2020, I was working at various VSOs, veteran service organizations, or vet centers on and off campus. That's where I started falling in love with the veteran community.
Gotcha.
So after college, when there was teachers, everything were at home, there was a hiring freeze, I got into case management for veterans. And from there, just started continuing my mission. I found out about Soldier's Best Friend through my mental health.
Ha, nice.
Yeah, I like
it. Forward then. It's kind of like a...
Yeah. It was definitely an interesting turn of events because like every other veteran, I thought there was nothing wrong with me at all.
Oh, of course.
All right.
Well, that's the whole disease itself.
Yeah.
So the disease itself is a disease of avoidance. It's a disease of hiding. You can see guys that do wonderful careers for 25, 23, 24 years in the military, and they have not a hitch. They're just perfect, work-wise, everything's perfect. However, when the last door is slammed and the last light start off, that's when the demons arise.
Yeah.
So it's a disease of suppression. We're suppressing this disease process now because we need to be able to function.
Yeah.
So it's all compartmentalizing our emotions, our feelings, and those kind of things. And I think that's exactly what you're trying to tell me here. And I get it. I totally see it. Mm-hmm.
I like how you explained it. Obviously, you're way more knowledgeable in the fact of it.
I read a book or two.
Yeah, no, right?
Or written one.
Which, by the way, you're gonna have to. When we're offline, you got to let me know about this.
Yeah, I have a copy for you.
I love these. I love
okay?
reading about. Yes, sir. Please.
I'll drop it off. I'll give it to you tonight.
I think it would be great. I try to read up on PTSD as much as I possibly can. As an individual who has clinically diagnosed PTSD, I always just try to tell people, it's like a cut on your arm, right? You treat it, you see it, it's visible, so you pay more attention to it. PTSD, you don't. So it builds, it gets infected, until you greatly put it.
It's going to be years. You have years of this stuff.
Well, my counselor told me that PTSD has an incubation period of anywhere from 7 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. So like you're saying, years it could take until it just hits you.
It comes to a head.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
A trigger, past trauma, something that just brings it, rears its ugly head.
Yeah.
And this is what people say, well, he just kind of flipped out. Well, no, he's been flipping out, but the thing is that this time he's imploded.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, like you said, it's one of these processes that we try to keep on the DL because we're ashamed of it. There's a certain amount of shame. There's a certain amount of the consequences. There are consequences. If you're a pilot or if you are an intel person, there are no consequences.
Yeah.
They'll pull your flight status. They'll pull your clearance right away. So yes, there are consequences. And in my book, I talk about a lot about how when I was seeking help as a major, I walk in and I see all these privates sitting there, young soldiers and sergeants and such, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to take one of their slots. But that was just the disease trying to tell me, hey, we don't want to deal with this right now. Let's just back up, let somebody else handle their business, and then you will at some point, And it was kind of one of those situations where you allow others to get the help, but for yourself, it's a little harder.
But what do they say, right? You got to put your oxygen mask on first.
That whole thing. If I could just get past the seatbelt thing, I put the buckle, on airlines when they reiterate that every freaking time. Yeah. Cracks me up. Just in case somebody does not know how to negotiate that little buckle.
But yeah, that like I said, it's through my own mental health that I found the importance.
Now, do you have a dog?
So no, I don't.
You want one?
No, I do, and like we tell a lot of our clients or soon-to-be clients, veterans that we help, maybe it's not right now, okay, which isn't a bad thing, but we're here for you, right? So I have so much more going on in life now. I have a 5-year-old, and then with work, it truly does keep me busy and engaged, and it doesn't allow me to be the recluse that I was starting to become, that avoidant individual. This position I'm in, it definitely gets me out there, up in your face. Something as simple as doing podcasts.
Yeah.
I never.
It's very therapeutic.
Would have thought, yeah, that I would do something like this.
When I wrote my book, I noticed that was very, very therapeutic for me, because I really was forced to go back into a time when things were actually happening. I have to write about it. So trust me, there were big pauses along the line there when I was writing my book. There was a lot of video games playing too. So I just want you to know there might have been a few video games that I had to finish before I could start writing again. But it was that same kind of thing, you know, where you're decisively engaged with something and you are, you know, you're totally fine. That's the whole thing. But you're still not addressing a lot of it. So that's the one thing. If you're, you know, if you are seeing a lot of people, you know, therapists and people just work out. Some people just work out. They you know, it counts as one antidepressant. If you work out 3 days a week, it's like one antidepressant. You can take away from the multitude of the ones that the vats of medicine that they give you at the VA. You know, so you don't come back.
The Tic Tacs.
Yeah, the Tic Tacs.
Come in all different flavors and colors.
Well, you remember in the Army was the vitamin M?
Oh, man.
Motrin was for everything.
Yep.
You know?
And dirt.
And dirt.
And you know, drink down water.
Well, yes, yeah.
Cure all.
You know, mouthwash mostly.
Yeah. Put some dirt on it.
You know, and it was crazy. I mean, this is how the military kind of does things sometimes.
How it programs you, you know, and then the different jobs in the military too, which I love the Army. It was the best experience of my life. To this day, I will never down it. I think it truly did save me in a way from where I was headed. Yeah. Right. Love the Army. I have utmost respect for the military. A little biased, let's say, with the Army, but it definitely does change you. It strips the life that you had before, and makes you into what they want you for that purpose to serve for. But there is no retraining coming out, no reintegration.
Like all things, right? You know, do you remember how when in the Army they tried to change the PT test the first time? They tried to change the PT test. There was all these sergeant majors were there like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so they poo-pooed it. They said no, because why? The Army will grow much older before it grows any smarter sometimes, right?
Yes.
In the sense that they do things by convention sometimes, and they don't do things because they do things with antiquated data sometimes, right?
Yes.
And change is such a big thing for the Army, and so when it comes to things like that, it takes a little bit of time to warm it in, but some things will just never change.
It's an interesting point that you brought up, though. They change recruitment ads more than they do policies and procedures and
for uniform. You know, change our uniform like 12 times, I think.
Yeah.
You know, since I've been in, you know, from the yellow banana ones to the gray, and it was just
the AC. Well, they had the DCUs, the ACUs, and then the multicams.
Yeah.
And then now I think they have a different uniform now too.
We had the chocolate chip ones with the big Elvis collars. When we went to Desert Storm, we had these it was a desert uniform, but it had we call it chocolate chip because it kind of looks like a chocolate chip cookie, and but it had these big Elvis collars on it. It's just ridiculous looking thing. And, we got
the king's still alive, baby. I never understood the point of the ACUs in desert, but this was my era, you know. So I mean, I like it. I do enjoy the multicams. I use those in Afghanistan, but the ACUs I was with for the majority of my military career.
Well, kind of like the new uniforms they have now. Have you seen those?
They look
the
like, dress.
Yeah, they look like World War II.
Yeah,
I love those. Those are really cool. But back to what you do. And tell me some of the great success stories that you've had so far.
So,
just one or two examples.
The transformation, for instance, seeing a veteran come in day one. Right, our day one orientation. When a veteran applies for our program, before they're accepted, we go through like a vetting system. Right, they get interviewed, what type of PTSD needs, or they get assessed for their PTSD. They get assessed for their TBIs. So before all that, during the interview, they get everything wrapped around what type of dog they'll need, everything, and then when they come in, we already have a dog in mind for them. But day one orientation, seeing that veteran before us. And then seeing them 6 to 9 months down the road at their graduation is a completely different veteran than what I saw day one orientation.
Gotcha.
That to me is what's most important.
Very cool. That has to be so gratifying.
Something as simple as wearing a button-up shirt, dressed for public, because they haven't done that for many, many years. So, I mean, some of them, I was at one graduation where an individual still had the tag on. He just didn't know, because it was literally a brand new shirt.
I do that all the time. It's pretty embarrassing once we go,
yeah, right.
$12.99, Ross.
Right.
Yeah, nice. But you're right. I see. So transformation is one of the big things that you see. Tell me about where's this project going? How is this going to? What does it look like in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, oh man, we actually just had a strategy meeting about it. More so internal growth though, but we're hoping within the next 5 years to severely decrease the amount of veteran suicides. As of June 7th, our next graduation, we will have graduated 466 veterans dog teams from our program, from our founding in 2011. When I first joined the organization, we were still in the 300s, and I thought, wow, that doesn't seem as much for as long as we've been around. But then seeing that it's a 6 to 9 month program, give or take some more months due to life, issues happening.
Knucklehead dogs that won't learn.
But no, it's the veteran. So, and that's what's unique about our organization is we don't train the dog and then give you a fully trained dog. That just doesn't work. We train the veteran
to train the dog. Gotcha.
To train the dog. Our trainers work alongside the veteran and the dog, and from day one, the dog goes home with the veteran, and that creates the bond. The training of the veteran training the dog creates that bond between them, because the dog will then be more attuned to the veteran's PTSD needs.
That is really, really cool. And now you decide, you told me that you guys rely a lot on, you guys are a nonprofit, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys rely on donations and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wanted to donate something to you guys in terms of whatever, money, resources, food for the dog, those kind of things, what would be the best way to do that?
Go to soldiersbestfriend.org. We have a donation right there.
Very good.
You could donate whatever you feel is reasonable or that you can. We're also an Arizona tax credit as well.
So you get a letter from you that says,
thank you. Yeah, thank you. And then you get you get your tax code and everything. And your taxes go
very good.
We're dollar for dollar.
Okay.
So I mean or more than welcome to come on by, drop a check off,
right.
However it may be, however you feel you wish to donate. It costs about $7,500 to put a veteran and dog team through our program. But even if you'd say, well, this is all I can afford, that's fine. That helps with medical training equipment, because it all comes at no cost to the veteran. And while they're in our program, all medical training and necessary training equipment, to include food, is all at no cost to the veteran. The Soldier's Best Friend will cover it all.
Very cool.
So
that is such an amazing organization. And is there a big demand? Is there a lot of people flooding your doors to try to get, or is that kind of not? Or is the word out there enough? That's what I'm asking.
Well, the word can never be out there enough, right? Mm-hmm. But we're constantly looking for ways to increase our visibility. As generation of war fighters are starting to realize that they do need some help. I mean, I believe we even had a Korean War veteran that we were helping out. We do help a lot of Vietnam vets, and then we're getting more and more of our generation of war fighters as well. And I do want to point out, we do need a confirmation of diagnosis of combat-related PTSD. And I want to say though that we're starting to realize that may be a little triggering to some of our veterans. The way we define combat is not the way the VA defines combat. So a lot of veterans, they'll go on our page and they'll see, must have a diagnosis of combat-related PTSD. Well, I never deployed or this, that, and the other, so I didn't see combat. This isn't for me. The way we define combat-related PTSD is as long as you were training for combat. So as long as you went to basic training, you're training for combat.
Right.
So you qualify.
But trauma is trauma. So the things that people don't understand is that you don't have to be in an armed conflict to experience trauma.
Mm-mm.
Trauma can come from getting beat up. Trauma can come from being raped, car accidents. You name it. From trauma. The funny thing about trauma is that it doesn't matter what type of trauma you get. The end result is always the same. The end result is PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
So when you treat it. we treat it with different modalities, right? Medications and therapy and EMDR and all these different modalities. There's ketamine now treatments and that sort of thing that work really well. Now they're doing a lot of stuff with psychotropic medication as well as psychedelic medication. Seem to also work really well for our population who has PTSD. And and I think that that just knowing that there's so many variations to healing this, and we're not healing because I don't know that you ever get rid of it, because the trauma that you experienced is a trauma that forges who you are today.
Yes.
And that person who went to basic training at 18 came back years later and is a very, very vastly different person, and a lot of it has to do with that, with the trauma, and good, bad, or indifferent, we learn how to live with it.
It's a certain, I can't think the numbers, but there's a certain amount of individuals who are 18, 19-year-old that just did not experience what the average 18, 19-year-old did.
100%.
For me, I went in 18 years old, turned 19 in basic training. As soon as I graduated basic training, 3 months later, I was deployed.
Yeah.
And I was a combat MOS in a combat zone.
Yeah.
So it while you're in it, you don't have time to really react either.
Right.
You
prepares you for it.
No, you have to react the way they tell you to react. So actually trying to process it, you can't process it in the moment. It comes out later on when things are not as elevated, when things have calmed down, and usually it's when you're back.
Yeah.
And that's when you can start processing it, and you don't know what you're processing at the time, because whatever trauma may have happened, traumatizing experience, happened a long time ago.
I think what you're doing is amazing, and I just love the project. I really do. In fact, when I was back in the day when I used to ride with a veteran motorcycle club, we actually dropped off a check for you guys.
Really?
Back in the day. If you go look back in the archives, you'll see.
I am. I'm gonna go back on our donor database.
I'll let you know what it was and everything offline. But it was because we believed in the project so much, and a lot of us had service dogs at the time. And,
That's good.
And early stages of having a service dog, when we really realized that how amazing these animals are, and how well they gel with our veteran pop. They didn't know how to train the dog to be a PTSD dog. They kind of had ideas. Let's the dog instinctively know what to do. I'm gonna say this. They kind of know what to do. They know how to put space between you and other people.
Yeah.
Imagine this guy with me walking down the street. People just get out of your way. They just, they see that big old head and they just kind of, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go across the street. So they create space.
And that's exactly what we train a lot of our pups for, is to create that space.
Now, do you get puppies, and then you kind of raise them, or you get dogs from the pound? Or where do you get the dogs from?
So we are a two-part mission. We like to say we're changing two lives at once, the veterans and the dogs, because we rescue from rescues statewide as well.
Nice.
And we're a statewide organization. We have training facilities in Mesa, Tucson, Sierra Vista, Yuma, Sholo, Prescott, Flagstaff, and then our main headquarters in Peoria, Arizona. So we rescue anywhere from 1 year or 9 months to 3 years. Okay, and that's the time frame we work with. Anything younger than 9 months, it's still too much of a puppy that it'll take too much time and to train. When our main mission, our main focus is to get the veteran the help as soon as possible. Right? So they're not puppies. I do like to say this though. When we do rescue them, we treat them like puppies until they start work. They roam around our office, slip them food, treats as much as we can, because we don't know where the dog came from either. And that's the beauty of the transformation I spoke about earlier, is we see the transformation of both the veteran and the dog.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So we go to soldiersbestfriend.org. To find out more about you and to donate so veterans out there who are interested in this program, what's the best way of, aside from going to your
Website.
website, is there any merit in them just actually showing up and saying, "Hey, this is who I am. These are my papers, and I'd like to be considered for a dog in the near future." And
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, so that they can also go to any of these training centers and.
Well, those are just training centers for now.
Okay.
We are in that 5-year plan. Where do we see ourselves as an organization? We are looking to expand to our outer areas as well. So we're working and partnering with Azura Veteran Resource Center, which is in Mesa, in hopes of starting to get that storefront to increase visibility as well.
Gotcha.
But back to how does the word get around? We are well connected with a lot of VSOs, vet centers as well, and the VA. So the VA does recognize what we do, and a lot of the therapists or counselors actually do refer out
100%.
to us.
And I can tell you who else refers to you. My wife.
Oh, great.
So my wife, she's a clinical psychologist. She has her own practice.
Okay.
And she has, she's always telling, and she gets a lot of referrals from the VA and from different people who have trauma. And she's always a big advocate. She was super excited to find out that you were coming on.
Oh, that's great.
She wanted to be here, but unfortunately, she's seeing patients like crazy these days. So
Well, which is a good thing,
which
right?
Is a good thing, but she does refer quite a few patients to you guys too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll definitely have to give a thank you note to her.
100%.
We try to do that for all of our therapists and counselors that refer to us. Just say, hey, thank you very much for seeing the quality of this, and that it's an important thing for the veteran.
What is the one thing you would change?
Say again?
What is the one thing? So looking at your organization, what would be the one thing that you would say, I'd like to change this? Is there anything?
That's...
It's a tough question.
That is a tough. The only thing I can say that I would like to change is stating combat related PTSD.
Gotcha.
That to me that would be the only thing, and it's a work in process. That we're trying to. Obviously, the organization got founded during a time of war. And so we're trying to highlight the importance of it, because PTSD comes in many forms, and a lot of people could have it. So we want exclusivity for the veteran that actually had to go through this combat-related trauma. However, with the wars dying and coming to an end, you're going to get a lot of more warfighters that have come out of service with PTSD, whether from training or non-combat-related experiences, but military-related, needing a service animal. So, that would just be the way, which is why we try to get word out that how we define combat related.
I think that's a very smart way. It's more inclusive, and it covers a wider range of people. I can tell you that, World War II, Korean, even Vietnam era veterans, a lot of them are still under that mentality that PTSD is not real. They don't have it. They don't know what we're talking about. This happened to. This is an interesting story. I was at a American Legion, one of these places, giving a talk about different things. I think it was about Iraq, and I'm giving this a talk, and I'm talking about PTSD and things like that. And there was this guy in the front row, his arms crossed like this. I'm like, okay, body language is beautiful. And he finally says, well, in my day, we didn't have PTSD. What we had was a bunch of sissies. I'm like, okay. I said, fair enough. However, so you need to tell me that in your how long have you been married? Now, mind you, his wife is standing behind him. He doesn't see what she's saying. And he goes, I've been married 40 years to this lovely lady behind me here. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So in 40 years, there hasn't been any domestic disputes. There hasn't been any drinking, any drug and alcohol. And he's like, nope. And she's like,
yep.
And everybody around can start laughing. He's just kind of looking around to see what. And it's because the denial is so strong. It equates to a weakness and vulnerability. And in the military, both in combat-related fields or in any other field, vulnerability is not in our vernacular. It's not something we speak of.
It must have been a Marine. No.
Probably was. Probably with the Iwo Jima or something like that. Lock and low, boys. We're going in.
Exactly, Mark. It's the stigma. It's the negative connotation that PTSD has with it. Because, like you said, it equates to weakness. And in the military, we're not weak, especially combat or anything. Like we were trained,
No
right?
vulnerability.
No, we're an American military, right?
We're gonna kick ass. It's
Exactly.
right.
Indestructible. We are the machine that runs the world. Right. So to have that weakness, to show that weakness, even though you're out, now you classify yourself as, well, I'm a veteran, right? I'm still a step up from anybody in the population that didn't serve or didn't answer the call, and so to show that weakness, to show that vulnerability, there's still a negative stigma to it. You mentioned it earlier on that there's still that fear that it can close doors for you, and it does. It will. I mean, if you get your PTSD rated high enough in the VA, you could be considered unemployable. Correct. Same if you disclose it to a lot of employers, there's a negative stigma to it, and they'll kind of be like, oh, hey, thank you for your service, right? But then you disclose this disability. Why?
Well, part of that, and you may not agree with me, but a lot of the reason for the stigma is because of how the media portrays it. Now, when there's a fatality, when there's a horrible thing that happened, they want to know several things. Was this person a terrorist? Was he Muslim? Was this a terrorist attack?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he a veteran? And if so, did he have PTSD? Those are, and it doesn't matter. That you could have in medicine, it's kind of a funny thing. You can have a hangnail and be a raging lunatic at the same time. Okay, you can have PTSD and have really other problems, medical or behavioral health problems, along with PTSD that are not necessarily related.
Yeah,
you can be in full psychosis because of something else, but you also have PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all these other things at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't make that disease the culprit. In fact, with PTSD, you're more likely to off yourself than others. And that is the message that I really want to drive home to the media and to the general public, because they don't understand that. They hear this on the news over and over and over again. The guy just freaked out and started shooting everything. No, that's not how that is.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's not the PTSD. The what you said, we're more likely to harm ourselves if we have a PTSD outbreak. It's because we are trained to eliminate the enemy. And when there's no more enemy, but we're constantly saying there's something wrong with us, you make yourself that enemy. So in the end, you end up wanting to eliminate the enemy, which is yourself.
Well, so with PTSD, you have, like you said, you mentioned it earlier, you have like a lot of different forms of variations of it, survivor's guilt, somebody who has, you blame yourself, you feel guilty for things that you have zero reason to be guilty about, but, and so when you are feeling guilty, and this is the level of guilt right here, and you do things, bad things, to justify this guilt. So you kind of bring up, so that's why there's bad behavior, that's why there's risky behavior, there's driving too fast on a motorcycle, driving too fast, drinking and driving. So you bring it up, so they can say, the reason why I'm this is because of this is because I'm this.
It's an umbrella that you hide under.
It's a balance that you need in your life, right?
Yeah.
So if you understand that, that is definitely a potential, and then you can work on just what you should own in terms of guilt, in terms of shame and whatever, and what you shouldn't.
Oh yeah.
But I think that having a dog really helps with a lot of that stuff.
It truly does. Right before I
focus, right?
Oh yeah, right before I came over here, I was actually interviewing a veteran for one of our appeal letters, just getting his testimony, right? And he's a Vietnam era veteran, U.S. Navy, and for years he said it himself. I have the perfect attitude, but everyone else says I have an attitude. And I asked him, so because he's one of our graduates as well, I asked him what caused that change to where you finally decided to get a service animal. He goes, it took me 8 years with my therapist at the VA to finally convince me of getting a service animal. And I was at a VFW, so back to how does our word get spread around us. I was at a VFW and one of your graduates was there and said, hey, if you're looking for a service animal, Soldier's Best Friend does this. We're not a cure. We're not a cure-all, but we are that extra device that you have in between.
It's a tool. You have a tool.
In between your counseling your counseling appointments, in between your doctor appointments, you have that tool for you that'll keep you on track, on what the track you want to be on. Having that purpose again, that mission again, right? Having that sense of pride in something again. Right, a lot of our veterans. Congratulations to that veteran. 40 years of marriage. A lot of us are single. A lot of us are on multiple marriages. Right. Congratulations to him. The veteran I was interviewing, same. He was like, I was married, lasted this long. Married again, lasted this long. So I didn't want to be tied down again. That's why I didn't want to have a service animal. However, this has been the best thing for me. I have incredible road rage. So when my dog feels me getting in that rage, all she does is she comes and puts her head on my shoulder and I calm down. When I'm out in public, if I'm waiting for an elevator, right, everyone's getting too close to me. He goes, I worked in what I did at the military. I worked in close quarters. So now I can't stand close quarters. Right. What my dog will do, I'll give it the command and it'll start slowly circling around me to create that space, that barrier, it's not racing around you, but it'll start creating that space because, everyone's going to back away from that dog, shift themselves until the elevator opens, so our dogs and just service dogs in general, they do create a safe place for the veteran to exist in the moment out in society. They're able to get back into their regular life. The veteran I was interviewing, he stated before Soldier's Best Friend, he was only going out once a week. And that was where he would schedule everything from getting the mail. That was in his included daily or weekly routine. He'd get the mail once weekly, and he'd get the mail, come back in, and that's where he'd get his keys to go get his groceries. He'd plan his doctor appointments at the same time while he was out, so he didn't have to deal with people, right? And then he'd drive home to drop off his groceries and go to the VFW, go to the bar.
That's the thing. The one thing that we didn't touch on is that how these dogs are. They force you to be more social too. Mm-hmm. Because invariably you're going to be sitting down somewhere and somebody's going to go, "Oh my God, it's such a cute little dog. What's his name? Can I pet him?" That sort of thing. So you start dialogue again. You're starting to you're forcing the veteran who is kind of held, wanting to be isolated, to have to engage.
Oh yeah.
And it's a good exercise. It's a very, very good exercise. They need that more than anything.
He was telling me how, just as simple as Walmart, going into Walmart or Target, just grocery shopping. He felt that after many years of failed marriages, he would never be able to talk to a woman again. And he was like, but dogs, dogs, women love dogs, So invariably it's and he said it's helped him with his social skills because somebody will come up and start talking, and where he would be previously timid to even want to talk to somebody, he's now engaging just in a simple conversation again.
Well, I think that your organization is truly amazing. We are on our last few minutes of our show. What would you like to do? Do you have any message you want to send out? Is there anything that you'd like to kind of reiterate, or you want to emphasize, drive home at this point to the listeners in terms of...
I definitely want to say that when you get out of the military, there is a community out there, and it's the veteran community. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you feel as though you're alone, trust me, you are not alone. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are vet centers. Seek mental health. There are people there for you that want to be there for you. Check out a local peer support group. Okay, we have peer support groups at Azura, the Defender's Den over in Mesa off of Centennial Way. And we also have a peer support group at our Peoria location off of 75th and Thunderbird. Get engaged. Even if it's something as simple as a peer support or getting involved with a local veteran community, you can express your story. There's somebody that does want to listen to it and share it. So get out, take that initial step. And if you feel as though a service animal may be something that will help you and assist you in your life, please don't hesitate to go to soldiersbestfriend.org.
That's awesome, man. Well, I thank you so much for coming out here and sharing with us this amazing organization that you work for. I couldn't be prouder to have you on the show and talking to our listeners out there who are. Well, I think that your doors are going to be kicked down with a bunch of veterans coming wanting dogs now because,
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you and for coming out and taking your time to talk to us about this.
Well, I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you for your continued support. And to all the veterans out there, as well as yourself, sir, thank you for your support. Thank you for your service. Okay. And if anyone says, hey, thank you for your service, hey, I tell everyone you were worth it.
Yeah. That's a great answer. All right. Well, thank you so much, man.
Of course. Thank you, Mark.
All right. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to Brotherhood of Healing. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment and leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Your feedback helps us grow and bring you even better content. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep your powder dry and watch your six.